Hi, and welcome to Michael Talks Business, where all sorts of entrepreneurs give us their advice on business. I'm Michael, and today we're talking to Vadim Krolitsky of V Productions. They're an audiovisual company in the GTA, and he's an insane drummer. Let's get to it. Hi, so we're here with Vadim from V Productions today. Vadim, start us off by telling us a little about your business.
Hey, so our business is live audiovisual production. That means speakers, that means lights, that means stages. We own the equipment, we set it up, and we provide the actual production service as we provide the technicians.
So you rent out the equipment and you provide the technicians to actually put the show on?
Yeah, full production. So we do the whole show. We start off from logistics, we get the gear there, we organize everything, we set everything up, we run the show, we tear the show down, and we bring it back to the warehouse. That's pretty much how the business runs.
So how long have you been in business?
Officially about 3.5 years. In the industry, 4.5 years.
So and have you been to school for this sort of thing?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Zero school.
Seriously?
Zero school for this. Yeah.
Straight out of high school?
No, I went to school just for something totally different.
Oh, what was that?
Anthropology.
Okay. Okay. So yes, a little bit different than what you do now. I understand. So what made you do this if you went to school for anthropology? What made the change?
Well, I always was into music. I'm a drummer from the time I was a kid. And slowly I just started drumming at parties. Then people asked me if I can DJ a party. So I said, sure. I learned how to DJ slowly. I started acquiring speakers, microphones, and other sound equipment. And slowly the arsenal of my equipment grew to a pretty big amount, and I decided to do something with it.
So starting a business like this looks like a huge investment. How do you get capital for something like that?
Good question. So unlike a lot of other businesses, I did finance pretty much everything myself. I had a little bit of help from family, but mostly I just used my savings. I used to work in Walmart, I used to work in drum shops, and I used to teach drums before this, and I just saved up money. And at the very beginning, I didn't buy everything at once. I just bought little by little. I bought one setup and then another setup when I made the money from that. So it was a slower growth, but it is pretty much self-investment, and I did everything myself with the money I already had.
So no outside investors?
No, again, as I said, a little bit of help from family, a little bit of a loan, but other than that, that's pretty much everything.
Could you talk a little to how you acquired your first clients?
My first clients? Very good question. My first clients, depends which kind of clients you look at.
Well,
if you're talking about small clients, like one-time clients, or major clients that actually allowed me to grow my business.
Talk about the major ones. I mean, a young guy, nobody ever heard about you,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're this, audio guy.
Yeah.
How do people get to know you? How do people get to trust you enough to hire you for a show? I mean, a show, you can't really screw up.
Yeah, so it all started with a couple of clients at the very beginning who gave me a chance. They knew me through drumming at weddings and that whole world. Maybe they saw me DJ at a party. And they approached me asking me if this is something that I want to do. I started off with the live sound section. I didn't do lights and staging at first. It was just the live sound. And there was somebody else in the industry who was on their way out at the time. And they asked me if I'd be interested in taking on this endeavor.
How did they hear about you? How did they hear about you?
I knew them through parties. I've met them at parties doing something else, but I slowly started talking about, oh yeah, I have speakers, I do sound, I have equipment. So it was more talking about it first and then learning how to do it as you're talking about it and then starting to do it. So there's a lot of time that I had to invest in learning myself and teaching this to myself in order to actually make the first few shows happen.
Any screw-ups in the beginning?
Huge.
Yeah?
Huge. Yeah, I had to At the very beginning, it was pretty much do a show, put all my blood, sweat, and tears into it. I remember one show at the very, very beginning. I just invested all this money. I was doing my very best, but it was really a job for 3 or 4 people, but I just didn't have any money left, so I did everything myself.
Okay.
And after about 25 hours of working straight, including driving the equipment, setting it up, figuring everything out, and then having a bunch of technical difficulties, and then somehow crawling home. And it actually had such a big effect on me. I got sick for about 2 weeks after that, just because my whole body crashed after that day. And I had to beg my clients to let me keep doing this, and they did.
Yeah.
So I thank them for that. They believed in me, and things worked out after that, slowly but surely.
So in your business, how would you usually determine pricing, especially when you were just starting out? With all this competition around, people who've been doing it for many more years than you have, how do you stay competitive and not price so that it's so low so that it's not worth it for you?
So the very first thing I did, I think I got this tip from probably watching a YouTube video as when somebody was interviewed about the exact same question. And they said, contact your competitors. They weren't really competitors yet. They were big companies, and there was nothing. I was just starting out. I wasn't really competing yet. They said, call them and pretend to be a client and ask them for a quote. And that's what I did. I called a bunch of clients. Not clients. I called companies that were doing audio-visual as well. And I asked them how much things would cost, and then I'd kind of balance it out. And then I'd realistically bring it down a little bit. I'd bring down the prices just because I wasn't sure.
We have a guest.
we have a guest speaker here today. His name is Dublin. He's my manager. He's right here. So he's my biggest investor as well. So that's pretty much how I got my pricing, and then from there I judged it just based on what people tell me. When people told me, "Are you crazy?" I figured that it's probably a little too high. Or if people said, "Okay, that's great," really quick, I realized that it's too low. Or some people would actually be honest and told me, that's too low. So that's how I figured that out.
So that was a great answer. If you were talking to new entrepreneurs, what kind of advice would you give them regarding starting a business? Things that you wish you'd have known when you were starting out?
First of all, it's very important to have a support system and things that are that you have other than the business that keep you going. It could be anything. It could be a supportive family. If you don't have that, though, have something else that's going to support you. For an example, it could even be a desire. Your desire to, let's say, buy a new car at a certain point, or your desire to go on vacation, because that's going to keep you going when you're down and when things keep like they're failing. That's what's going to push you back up, because it's very easy to quit at a lot of steps, because you might be looking at people who've been doing business for 3 to 4 years, and you're like, oh, well, they got a car, they got a house, they're doing all these things, they're spending, and they have all this money, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I've already done 1 year or 1.5. That means that I should be like a third way there. But that's not how it works. Businesses do not just grow gradually. You're here, and then you skyrocket. That's what I've seen with most businesses that I've seen grow.
So you're saying they don't grow gradually? It just sort of happens?
In a textbook world, businesses do grow gradually just like that. But most of the time, from what I've seen, there's one day and everything explodes and everything gets bigger from there. That's what happened to me as well. So have that support system, that's one. Mm-hmm. And two, this is advice that I actually give young entrepreneurs. I tell them to find a brand of coffee that they like, because that's going to be your biggest support system for the first few years. And it's good to have something that you like. It's good to have something that you enjoy, that you can always go back to. It's good to have that kind of throughout your day, and knowing that you're not just, knowing that you already have something good, because coffee is not a very expensive habit. but it's already something, you know, you can go to your boutique coffee place and know that you can afford that. You're already a business person. You're already making money. You're already at the next step. And find something that you really like. I find that it's really encouraging knowing that you already have something nice and premium in your life, even though you're just starting out.
Would you do free work in the beginning?
Yes, I did a lot of free work at the beginning, but thinking about it now, I don't know if I would have done all the free work I did. At first, you're kind of desperate and everybody tells you, oh, free work is like advertising, you know, exposure. Exposure is a really popular word these days. But realistically, it's all it is gaining experience. It's not really exposure, because what I found is when people see you doing things for free, they expect you to do things for free forever. They expect you to be the lesser. They expect you to be not good enough to be paid for your work. So that's why I don't do a lot of free things anymore. I do support a few charities every year. I give them everything, and they're both actually charities I've been supporting since before I even started my business. But I walked away from all other types of free work, because at the end of the day, especially when your business grows, everything costs money. You have tons of expenses for everything, right? Every day costs you money. So when you do something for free, you are literally losing money and also taking a risk, which is an even bigger deal, because
people are going to see you as that guy.
Yeah, but if you do a corporate event for free, and it's important for your client, it's a big deal, there's somebody important speaking, and then a piece of equipment fails, then you made no money, but you still took on all that responsibility. Nobody's going to care whether you did it for free or not after the fact. And they're going to hold you accountable, sue you, whatever it is that they would have done if you would have charged full price for it.
Do you advertise at all? Is that something that you find would be beneficial?
Good question. At first, everybody tells you, oh, you have to advertise, you have to do social media, you have to do flyers, you have to do business cards. In my first year and a half, I spent a lot of money on that. I did stuff on social media, I did stuff everywhere, and then when I looked at the results of my social media, how many dollars, not just social media, website, bunch of flyers, you know, going to trade shows. At the end of the year, I looked at how much money I spent and how much money I made, and I pretty much made, I sold one thing maybe for $500 after spending $10,000, $12,000, $15,000.
So you wouldn't advertise anymore?
No, so I stopped for several years, and the only way I advertise is making these shirts and a variety of different outfits and wardrobes for all my technicians to wear on site. That's how people recognize us. They know that we always wear our company shirts. That's a big deal, because that creates an image. And that's the only money I would say I spent on marketing in the last 3 to 4 years. Now that the business has gotten a lot bigger, I am looking at new initiatives again, and I'm looking to hiring an actual company to do it for me, but I haven't found anything yet that I'd find beneficial.
Yeah, but it is something that you're looking
Yeah, at this point.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you for being here today. I think we've all learned a lot, and again, thank you very much.
It was great being here. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave us your comments so that we know what you think. Until next time.